Hello, tremendous leadership fans. I am so excited. It's one of my favorite times of the year. It is new release day, and I am here with my new dear friend, sister, fellow dog lover, and now published author, Jennifer Broome. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Tracy. I'm so excited and honored to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the honor of entrusting not one, she has a second book coming out, two, but we're going to talk about this first one just real briefly a little bit about Jennifer. Jennifer is a world-renowned dog trainer. She's into canine wellness. She is into education about dogs, and she also is as a very accomplished competitor in the sporting dog world. So she has decades of experience that she has really encapsulated in this book, and it is called Mastering Canine Communication, The Power of the Quiet Kue, Kue. So Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about what is the Quiet Kue and what makes this dog training book so different than the other ones?
Sure, absolutely. So the Quiet Q is a spin on QK. So the Quiet Q, QK. And it's basically the methodology that we've used at my kennel, Quinebaug Kennels, and have developed over the past 25 years. It's a system based on a natural form of communication with the dogs, not being so human, not being so vocal and verbal,
Mhm.
about reading the dog and teaching them a system of light touch. And that touch helps them to basically learn how to navigate pressure, learn how to be on a leash, learn how to move into and with the pressure as opposed to the normal response any animal does, which is a fight, freeze, or flight response.
And you talk about trained dogs live better lives. And I
Ah,
can tell you, I mean, I watch you and these other people in the field, just people, they'll stop and their dog will look up at them and stop. They'll just gently do that communication or a hand movement, just very gentle, light touches. And that's always fascinated me. So are you saying that for most people out there, if we would get some good tips to learn how we can better communicate with our canines?
absolutely. A dog is a pack animal. And when you can portray pack leadership to your dog, they willingly choose to follow you. So our goal is not to force them. Our goal is not to bribe them. There's there we don't really want to force or bribe. We want to use a relationship. We want to use a system of teaching with light touch to form a relationship and teach them methodology, teach them tasks of walking with us and being still and going away, but basic foundational obedience commands. But I think the beautiful thing about the Quiet Cue is you're working with the dog in their calm, natural, stable state. You're not getting them highly aroused with high pitch vocals, intense forms of treats. Those have their wonderful places. But when it comes time to really delve into a dog's thinking side and their thinking brain, a stable, calm dog is a dog that is most receptive to learning. So the Quiet Cue is really about nurturing and getting a dog into that calm thinking state where then they're really open to light pressure. When a dog is highly aroused, when a dog is highly excited, they tend to not even feel pressure because they're just highly aroused. But when they're in a calm, receptive state, they when they're in a calm state, they're very receptive to light cues. So the goal is to use very, very light cues to communicate. And it's a beautiful way to form a partnership that your dogs just want to follow you. They want to follow you because you're so cool. You're so brave. You're such a leader, and they choose to follow you.
Well, I love it because I'm in the human leadership space, although I have dogs, and I met Jennifer just as I had adopted Tanzanite and Sapphire. So what a double the blessing was that, because as I'm reading all her stuff, I'm working it out in my two Australian Shepherds, and I learned so much about it. But even with people, your followers, you don't speak your language to them. You find out what their language is
I
and what
do.
they best respond to. So your book is really about making us be better leaders and understanding the canine communication so then we can have that better bond, which is one of the greatest bonds on this earth that God has given us.
It's so amazing. I'm on a farm here right now down in North Florida, glancing around looking at horses, and I have horses myself, and I watch the horses communicate all the time. And animals quietly communicate with each other, and they speak volumes with a glare, with a movement of an ear, with a swish of a tail, with a tail set, with a tenseness of muscles. And When you truly start paying attention to those cues that an animal is giving you, it really opens up your world to what they're thinking, how they're feeling, what their response is going to be. And so we're not just coming in as a dominant human. We're coming in for more of a partnership. How can we learn to speak their language? If we really love them, we should respect them and respect their needs and respect their forms of communication.
Mhm. So Jennifer, you've had Quinebaug Kennels for, did you say 25 years?
Uh, I've been a dog trainer for going on 30 years, and I developed Quinebaug Kennels back in early 2000. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
24 years is going on.
I love
Exciting.
it. So you talked to me a lot going through this. You drew from your own personal experience. When you see people come in, and again, you're coming up with a series of videos and books because such a proven record, and we can't all get up to your area, your neck of the woods to go see you. So I love that you're sharing your knowledge. But what are some of the things? So what are some of the common mistakes or misperceptions that
Sure.
you see when people come
Thank you
in?
for asking.
Mhm.
So one of the most common mistakes that people make is that when they're at the other end of the leash, they grab the leash and they wrap it around their hands,
Mm.
or they grab the leash and they hold it really tight. If you think of a human interaction, when I come to meet you or greet you, Tracy, I could shake your hand or I could give you a hug, but I don't grab you by the shirt collar and hold you tight and don't let go. And most people, and everything from vet techs, gosh bless them, because I was just at the vet office yesterday and they, grab my dog and they grab her tight, from vet techs to other pet care professionals to most owners, when they grab a leash, they're almost anticipating the worst. And
Mm.
when you
Mhm.
grab a leash with tension and with pressure, an animal wants to get away from that pressure. Therefore, they're going to pull. So,
Wow.
one of the greatest things that I identify is really how unfair to the point of rude people are with their hand gestures, with their hands when they're holding a leash.
Mhm.
And if you could hold a leash like an instrument, like a tool, where your goal is based on lightness and you're being fair to enable the dog to respond to light. The quiet cue system is also very much focused on using the lightest amount of pressure cues required to teach a dog to navigate that pressure. So an adage of horse training and even dog training is, um, the more pressure you train with, the more pressure you'll need. So instead of grabbing a dog with a bunch of pressure, wrapping it around your hand, going, oh my gosh, there's another dog walking by, I'm anticipating my dog's going to be naughty. Well, that just puts them into a reactive state. When
Mm.
I grab a dog's leash, I am fair, I'm meeting them, I defend my own space, but I'm not going to hold them tight. So that's one of the biggest mistakes that I watch people consistently is, being very inconsistent, unfair, and using way too much pressure on the dog's leash for no
Mhm.
reason. The dogs are darned if they do, darned if they don't. There's constant pressure. And really, when you get into negative reinforcement training, pressure training, which basically can just be light touch, that's what we use is a light touch. Touch is the enforcer. The release of touch, the release of pressure is the instantaneous reward. So
Mm.
the animal, and this is in horse training too, the animal seeks the release of pressure. Well, there's no release of pressure when you hold a leash tight. So it's all about a release of pressure.
I love that. And then you also talk about going into a challenge course. So not only the
Yeah,
basic commands, and you do talk about your horsemanship and how that impacted you, but you even talk about like an obstacle course. Which how much
sure.
fun is that? Everybody wants to have. I mean, I have Aussies, so that's why I got them.
Yeah,
But I love that you talk about rewarding the try and how you don't let dogs cop out with. And you build their confidence and their
I do.
self-efficacy like children,
Yeah.
nope, you can't back out of this. We're going to do this. So, can you unpack a little bit about the QK challenge course?
I'd love to. You know, not out of disrespect, I think just out of people not knowing or understanding. So many people inadvertently dumb their dogs down
Mm.
by doing the job for them. So, for instance, most dogs can fly up onto a couch, a window, or a bed when they want to. But what about if you wanted them to get up into your vehicle or you wanted them to help put their paws up on a veterinary table or a grooming table, or you even wanted them to just navigate stairs? And the dumbing down portion, where I say, is when people go, he seems scared, so I'm just going to carry him up and down the stairs. He seems scared, so I'm going to carry him by this dog. So Um, that can be very confusing for a dog when you're doing their jobs for them. So we've created, and it was based on an old agility course that I bought. Somebody was getting out of the agility, they were moving, and I bought their old agility course. And then I just started adding to it a truck bed, a swinging bridge, a balance beam. And what these did is these became definitive obstacles which enable us to teach a dog to navigate, to go on them and off them with the lightest of cues. And when you have a definitive obstacle, and we love to start with just a very easy, flat, low platform, and it could be elevated 4 to 6 inches. And the rule is you're either on it or you're off it. And so it's very definitive. There's no black and white. It's not just like a mat on the ground. It's I need you to be either on it or off it. And just asking some of these canine athletes who might scale their parents, their owners' king size bed at home, has a meltdown by just asking them with neck pressure to stand on a platform. And so we start with very easy tasks, and you're teaching a dog to engage their core. You're teaching them, most dogs have no idea how to use their hind end. They have no idea. They don't even know the hind end exists. So they might get their front end up. And when a dog is confused, is afraid, or doesn't understand, they tend to give a fight, freeze, or flight reaction.
Mhm.
So the goal with the challenge course is to use very definitive black and white obstacles to get a dog to see it, start cueing them, and get them to try.
Mhm.
And any lack of try, so they can fail, but they must try.
I love
And
it.
a lack of try would be just quitting, coming at you, or trying to get away. And those are
Right.
completely normal reactions. Our jobs as trainers are to say, you don't get to bail out, you don't get to freeze, you don't get to come after me. I want to teach you how to try. And the cool thing, Tracey, is day one with these dogs, they're freaking out. They don't know how to use their hind end. They're just never been asked to do this. They've been on harnesses, or, oh, my dog is best off leash. So they haven't even been on leashes. So it's very, very challenging for them. But when you start with the easier obstacles, you can see a dog go from a tight jaw and stressed and just thinking their world is going to end, stepping on a flat obstacle, to some dogs, it could be mere minutes. Some dogs, it might be the course of the day.
Mhm.
They're suddenly going over obstacles that you couldn't ever believe. And they're going over it with a very, very light touch. So
Yeah.
I walk up to an obstacle. I say, this is what I'd like you to do. I give a quiet cue toward it, and they try. And they suddenly, you can see the difference in a dog's demeanor. They go from tight and stressed and not understanding how to comprehend, to loose, and I'm going to call it happy and joyous. They have a
Mhm.
relaxed body, and the dogs will actually, it's very remarkable and it's very identifiable. You watch them, they start to prance like a show dog,
Yeah.
because I think they get rid of so much angst and stress, going, I just accomplished something. So
Right. My goodness.
I do this.
Yeah.
I do this with little puppies. I mean, I start with 8-week-old puppies. I do this with my sporting dogs. I'll do this with service dogs. I'll do this with, any highly competitive dog, and it's just a family pet. I'm teaching them how to use their body, how to face adversity, because some of the swinging bridge and the balance beam, those are scary. And
Mhm.
as long as I can not force them to do it, because the more pressure that I use to force them, the less effort that they're giving. So
Mm.
my goal is, I'm almost like a dripping faucet. Try, try, try. And then what I really like to teach is reward the smallest try.
Yeah.
And when you're letting them know that you're paying attention to reward the smallest try, you suddenly get huge efforts. It's beautiful.
It is, and I love that you mentioned any kind of dog, even so again, for our listeners
Any
out there, this isn't just if you're competing in, the world agility this is any dog.
Yeah.
Jennifer, you also talk in the second half of the book, and I love this too, as somebody that has acreage and sight dogs, and I want them to experience life in the woods and doing the agility and stuff, but you also talk about electronic collars and
Mhm,
how to use them, and I love you really unpack that and how
mhm.
to use them to protect the dog against the things, it's part of it because, I got deer, I got bear, I got cars, everything everywhere. And I love that you really unpack how, when, and where to use the e-collars.
Sure. So if our system is, the goal of our system is based on using a leash to teach the most light touch point of contact, the
Yes.
goal then is to transition that light touch to the sensation of a remote electronic training collar. If you're already calling it a shock collar, then that's the wrong connotation for it.
Mhm.
Um, could first off, they don't shock, and I explain that in the book. It's a touch point of contact. It's not a jolt through the system that it shocks a body. Um, could it get to a level that it hurts? Absolutely, it does with an invisible fence. And I don't sell invisible fences. I don't even own an invisible fence, but many of my customers have them, and I'm not against them. It's a further insurance policy to protect your dog from running into danger. And in order
Yes.
for them to respect the fence has to be set at a high level that's going to deter them from running through, which could be chasing another dog or chasing a squirrel. So it does hurt. It's like touching a hot stove. Stay away from it. That's a very, very small percentage of how I explain how we would use an e-collar to trash break or correct a behavior such as chasing a deer, doing something very egregious, jumping on a counter that could kill them.
Yes.
But when we when I teach systematically how to use the e-collar in this book, you're first teaching on a leash. You're not teaching with the e-collar. You're teaching with the leash. You're teaching light cues. You're naming the cues. Then you're overlaying the light touch to the lightest sensation of the e-collar. And ironically, when I get most people to feel the e-collar that their dog actually feels, the human can't even feel it. It's
Mhm.
such a light level.
Mhm.
And so I effectively can drive and maneuver my dogs with the off-leash sensation of a remote e-collar. And they're just a fantastic tool. I know in my heart, I truly believe in my heart, they've saved so many dogs' lives.
Mhm.
And I believe that they improve dogs' lives because I know that when I ride my horse at night and my dogs might come with me a pack, we could encounter deer. We could encounter things out there. They, c- some of them might have e-collars on just as my insurance policy for a very important recall. So
Exactly.
I wouldn't be having these dogs out with me if I didn't have a capability to reinforce all of the tedious work that I've done. And an e-collar is not the solution. An e-collar is not the sample. You don't just slap an e-collar on a dog and think that they understand it. There's a complete systematic conditioning process to use an e-collar, and they're a phenomenal tool.
They are, and you do unpack that into the book because that's when I got my egg collars for my 2 girls when they started getting big enough that I'm like, I can't catch them now. They're off." And so I really appreciate that because that's something that I don't think a lot of us use. Either we're city dwellers or we're just but for those of us that want to go and explore the great outdoors with our dogs and let them not have to be so close all the time, I
And
really
life
got a
off
lot.
leash is amazing. Life and ultimately then my dogs need their e-collars on no,
Yeah.
but again, certain characters might, certain dogs are going to be more prone to go chase things,
Yes,
or I'm in an area where I need a quick recall. I know I need it. It is my insurance policy. My
it is.
voice ultimately is how I would call them, but the e-collar becomes a cue. Come
Yes,
around. And why does a light level work? Because ultimately they might know what a heavier level feels like. So they're like, I gotcha. It's an
I know.
insurance policy.
They
Yeah.
are, and they're so smart, they're just like
Mhm.
the model everything, child,
Yeah.
employee,
Yeah.
you teach them and then they get it and they
Yeah.
remember. And there's no greater joy than being out in public or exploring life. You go all over the place with your dogs,
They come
and what
all
did
around the country.
you went hunting with what, like 6 of them the one time or something like that?
Oh, I take at least 6 out to North Dakota, out in Minnesota, Wisconsin, UP, and Michigan. I mean, for me, a vacation is on the road with a bunch of dogs.
There
And that's everything from paddle boarding to kayaking to going out in my Boston Whaler to um, hunting, horseback riding. My life is encompassed with animals, and I
right,
love living my life with them. And well-behaved dogs live better lives because people want to be around
yes.
well-behaved dogs,
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know?
and they're welcome
Um,
everywhere now. You know what
they
I'm
are.
saying? They're
They
more welcome
are.
than bad children.
Yeah, dogs have never had it so good. Dogs are
I know.
welcome at breweries, dogs are welcome in Lowe's stores, dogs are welcome all over the place. And we owe it to our dogs to provide them with an educational foundation.
Yes.
And so the foundation that we train the Quiet Kue, what we train at Quinebaug Kennels, is basically your ABCs and your numbers, and it's systematically teaching them a foundation how to politely walk with you, go somewhere, come to you, be still. And those are the 4 foundational elements. Think about it right now. If your dogs right now, at any given moment, could go lie down, could come to you, could be still when they're laying down, and then walk with you, that's all you need, right? That's all you need.
Yes.
Then you can overlay that to a working dog. So for my field dogs, I might say, go search the field, stop and be still, come to me, and then move around and walk with me. So it's teaching them that foundational element. And the beautiful thing is, I feel it's like learning your numbers or riding a bike. Once they learn it, they never forget it.
Right.
Never
Right.
forget it. But you have to put the repetitions in, you have to put the time in.
Right. Well, Jennifer, you sure got that. And folks, the book is coming out April 2024. Be sure and sign up either at Tremendous Leadership. We'll have it on Amazon as well. And we'll have all the information with Jennifer's website where you can get in touch with her. But again, Jennifer, thank you so much for writing this book. I know, I mean, it's just, and again, guys, I think it's 20,000 words. So it's not a huge book, but it's enough for it to really help you get into aha. You're going to have so many ahas, and your dogs are going to love you for it. Your whole family's going to love you for it. And you're going to realize, oh, I need to stop doing that. And you are going to be the leader that your pup is going to look up to, or your dog. You can even use dogs and train them with this, not just puppies. Never too late, never too late. So Jennifer, thank you for the honor, for sharing your wisdom. I'm so excited for this coming out, and the privilege of publishing your first book.
It's been such an honor to work with you. You've been such a superhero and a powerhouse, and I'm so grateful, Dr. Tracey Jones. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer Broome. I feel like I know a rock star, a famous person, and you keep up the tremendous work. And again, to our listeners out there, if you like what you heard, you got some other dog lovers out there. They're looking for just an incredible read on mastering canine communication, the power of the Quiet Kue. And you can start doing what you need to be doing, what your pup needs to be doing. Check it out.
I also offer my clinics live. So I've got clinics at QK, and the first one is coming up in April. They're listed on our website, and we allow about 20 dog handler teams, and we get to teach it to you live, and it's super fun.
Right. And also in the back of the book, you're going to see all Jennifer's resources, because she also takes trips, hunting trips, and all kinds of things all over the world. I mean, she's just a woman of many talents, and just
all around my dogs.
all around your dogs. What a beautiful thing. So we love that at Tremendous Leadership, because
thank you.
You know, in addition to the people you meet, the books you read, the dogs you have in your life too. So
it's amazing.
All right, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Be sure and check it out. So thankful to have you as part of our tremendous group. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye now.